welcome to this over 40 YouTube success story live stream. This is episode 2. If you were here last week, then you know I just started this last week. My name is Rob, as in Rob the Maritimer, and I make videos and do live streams to help people over 40 get started with YouTube. And in this new series of lives, I'm bringing on guests that I think you guys would like to hear from and may perhaps learn from. So I think we're going to have some fun. Let me introduce today's guest. So today I've got Kevin Kolbe. Kevin Kolbe is a solo content creator and best-selling author. His creative journey started as a DJ on radio before getting into TV. He spent over 30 years in video production and marketing at Fox, NBC, CBS, and ABC affiliated TV stations. He's also the author of the #1 best-selling books, Live Streaming Made Easy and Video Podcasting Made Easy, which are available on Amazon. So everybody, please welcome Kevin Kolbe. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great.
Awesome. Well, you do too. I can hear you as well. Great. Thank you very much, Kevin, for joining us. This is fun. And hopefully the more I do of these, the smoother they'll go. But let's just have some fun. It's going to be kind of a relaxed thing. I've got a few questions for you, and we'll take some questions from the people in the live. It looks like we've got over 50 people, which is awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. No, thanks for having me on. And by the way, I'll apologize to you again and everybody watching. I'm fighting a little cold, so I have my Ricola. They're not sponsoring this, but I'm sure if they want to reach out to Rob, he'll talk to him. So if I rattle around a little, it's kind of lozenge in my mouth.
No problem. I guess 'tis the season. Winter's right around the corner, so I'll probably get mine soon. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, I gave a little bit of an introduction, Kevin, but why don't you kind of introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about?
So, like you mentioned, I've been in some kind of media for a long, long time. I actually grew up wanting to do a lot of things, and one of them was be a DJ on radio, and I had a chance to be on radio. By the time I started college, loved it. And was on radio for several years, and then I had a chance to get into television. And I thought, ooh, it's like radio with pictures. And I was in TV for, over 30-something years, worked at a lot of the stations. The longest stint was I was a creative director at a Fox affiliate at a company. And look, we did amazing work because I had an amazing team. I lived through them. They were just so creative, and we won a lot of awards and made money and did a lot of cool things. And position went away, like happens in a lot of industries, including broadcast. And I just ended up working for myself. I didn't think that would be the plan, but that was the plan. I actually have enjoyed it. And then I was kind of playing with YouTube, and I started my channel the same year. The same year I ended up getting my position eliminated. Of course, I didn't know that was going to happen. But it wasn't for quite a while till I kind of took it serious and put it into practice. So that's what I do now. I help people with video. I used to do a lot of hands-on, more for client work, and just over time, it's just I love working with people, but I don't enjoy the hands-on as much. So now it's just more like creating, for myself or YouTube or coaching or that type thing. So that's it.
Okay.
Your version was much more exciting than mine. So thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, with a radio and a TV background, I would think you probably had a lot of the skills you need to make videos for YouTube. Would you say that was the case?
Yes and no. So here's the funny thing. That's a great question. I think a lot of folks, and I've seen this in some of my comments, is like, well, you've got an unfair advantage because you were in television. It's like, yeah, but television is so different than online video, and especially YouTube. I mean, the two aren't even close. And most everything I did was behind the camera. Now I was on the camera some and behind the mic, but I enjoyed leading the team and working with them. So I kind of creatively lived through them. And then, we had a team. So I had graphic artists and producers and social media people, and we used an outside agency when we did other things. And now, I'm all of that. So I think the fact that video hasn't intimidated me, and I don't have a problem just turning on a mic and talk, whether I have anything to say or not, that's a different discussion, but that doesn't intimidate me. So yeah, that part of it, and just kind of how video works. But then there's a whole nother world of YouTube that can anybody really ever figure out? I don't know. But so it's helped me. And then at the same time, it, was like, ooh, there's still a lot to learn, which is cool.
Yeah. 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 It's fun to keep learning. If we're not learning, what are we doing?
Yeah, we're dead. Yeah.
Okay. So how long ago was it that you started with YouTube?
Well, according to YouTube, my channel started in 2017, and I always say that with a disclaimer because I actually had a channel before that, and like a dork, deleted it and all the videos and stuff like that, and that's why I've become a big proponent or opponent, whichever one you will look at, about not deleting stuff. Just leave it up. So the channel I have now, I started in 2017 in January, just uploading stuff, and it was in March of that year that my position was eliminated. So that's really when I started, but I would say it was around 2020 when my channel, I've got the creative spark to do what I needed to. My channel got audited during ironically by vidIQ, during a virtual conference a friend of mine was running. And they told me what I thought I needed to hear, but it was also some great advice. And, when people say it live in front of a crowd, it's like, you better take it, you better listen to them, or just like, okay, yeah, whatever. And that helped me get very serious about YouTube in terms of what I was trying to do and things like that. Now, did I know exactly what I was doing then? No. I mean, that still took some time. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. What about, so around 2020 or so, what about your growth? So you're at, last I checked, I think earlier today, 56,000 subscribers. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Did the bulk of those come recently, or did it happen early? How long did you kind of languish down, less than that? What did your journey look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know when I got audited, and by the way, it's not IRS audited. People ask me that all the time. It's just like somebody basically looking at your channel that doesn't know you and saying, okay, here's what I would recommend. Here's what you're doing right. Here's what, you can improve on. I had around 400 and something subscribers, maybe 450 subscribers, and that was 2020. And I really got a little bit more dialed in, and I think it was the end of that year, I might have gotten to 4,000 subscribers. Some of that I'm a little sketchy on. I know December of last year, I had hit 10,000 subscribers because two of my other friends, we all hit 10,000 subscribers about a week or two apart. So we did a special live stream. So I was sitting at 10,000 subscribers. And around the end of July this year, I was right around 14,000. First of August, let's just call it that. I was at 14,000 subscribers. And that's when I just decided to go all in and let's embrace age and talk to people that looked more like me or older or whatever. And everything just completely exploded at that point. Did I think that would happen? No. Am I tickled it did? Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Very
good. So just to follow up with that, so you saw a lot of growth since July. And it's curious. It's kind of parallels mine a little bit because I was kind of the same. I was at around 3,800 subscribers in June. And most of my growth happened in July and August, and it's still going. Which brings me to another question. As your channel evolved, throughout time, did you ever change your niche? You know what I mean? Like right now you're making videos for people over 40. What did you start off making videos about?
Well, the funny thing is it was just a little bit of everything. I think one of my first videos that I can recall, actually a couple of my first videos are unlisted. One was my wife. She and some other ladies formed a singing group and they were performing at a birthday party or something. So that was actually, I think, technically my first video. And then I thought, I don't think I have the rights to that music. So I unlisted that. But when I was driving into work, I just mounted a phone in my car and I called him, or my truck, and I called him the drive-in. And I would just, it was kind of like a vlog, you know, a one-take vlog, and I'd be talking about whatever, a movie or faith or whatever, and just uploaded those, not really knowing what I wanted to do. I've always been fascinated. I think probably one of my favorite types of videos, vlogs. I love vlogs if they're done well. Love Casey Neistat. And so I did a lot of that. And then after my position got eliminated, I did something about that and started vlogging about that. And then I leaned into more video creation, did some things on Final Cut Pro. That's what I cut on and things. And then I dip into YouTube. So I say all that. And again, you got to remember too, I was throwing a little bit of everything up. You know, I did a video for our niece, for our nephew and his wife who were trying to raise money to adopt a child. So I did it for them. I just put it up on my channel, and I'd put client videos up there. So nothing really had any cohesion, but it was all kind of around video. Okay. So I don't know that I've changed a lot of what I talk about as opposed to who I want to help and be a part of.
Okay. Do you feel like maybe by niching down and more accurately figuring out who your audience was, do you think that might have attributed to some of your growth? Or
yeah. I mean, I think it was definitely a major factor. I know that a few years ago, I was on a call with Heather Torres. I don't think I've shared this story. So, Rob, this is the exclusive for you. How about that?
Awesome.
So I was on a call with Heather Torres. Heather Torres used to work with Think Media. And she'd written a book, and another creator and I were on there, and we were talking about it. And I think we were going to be in the book. I don't remember. I don't even know if she ever published it. And we started talking, and she said, you know, Kevin, I really think you ought to lean in to this age thing. She said, you know, you're older, you've got experience. She mentioned Steve Dotto, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I've still got the email. I found the email recently that I sent her and thanked her for that. But I said, I just don't think I'm ready for that. But that seed was planted then. And I think just over time, the last few months, quite honestly, I enjoy creating videos, but I kind of felt like they weren't really focused to someone. You know, it was just kind of like, all right, here's how to do links on YouTube, or here's how to do transitions in Final Cut Pro. All great, but yet who am I trying to help? You know, I'm trying to help everyone. Well, okay, great. You know, that what, like a 14-year-old and an 80-year-old and a 40, you know, it's just like it's all over. So I think when I really decided, and I talked with a couple of friends, and they were like, well, who are you really wanting to help? And I kept thinking about that, you know, what's this community I want to be? I keep hearing about community that I wanted to be a part of. And I thought, you know, video, the whole video going back to my career has been very good for me and my family. Very good. And I'm like, well, it's given me so many opportunities and still is. Why don't I help people that are older that may be like facing, you know, they've been eliminated from their positions, or they're just wanting a side hobby. Or maybe they're older and retired, but, you know, they still want to do something with video, because I'm a big believer in YouTube. And so I think once I leaned into that and really just tried to kind of, you know, be a lot more me in terms of not overproducing, because I can overproduce like the worst of anybody. And that some of that came from TV background. It's just like, you know, let's just have conversations. I think everything just started connecting and clicking, and the views have been great, and it's trickled down to a lot of different things. But I think for me, it's when you look at the depth of the comments, not only just a lot of them, but deep comments, or somebody sending me an email and they're not even asking for anything. They're just like, hey, thanks so much. This lit the fire. That's validation that you're probably doing the right thing, even if you still haven't got it all figured out yet.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, that's very interesting. I'm actually wondering, what type of video do you enjoy making the most? Do you have a favorite type of video? You mentioned vlog. You started off making vlog types in your car. Yeah.
I would say vlog more than anything. Just turning on the camera and just kind of having a real talk, straight conversation. It's hard for me not to over edit. I mean, I know you're an editor, and I know that I think you use Camtasia, and you taught on it and freelanced on it. And I know in the TV world, I remember us going from linear to nonlinear editing. Yes, people, I'm that old. And I remember that. I remember getting an Avid. We had 2 Avid systems. And it blew my mind what we could do. But then down the road, because you had all these cool tools, it was just easier just to like, I'll fix it in post. And I used to call it junking it up. You know, it's like, I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I know I can throw some text in there and some effects and stuff like that, whether it needs it or not. So I think it's, you know, being able to just kind of slow down and create and not worry about over editing. I have to really make myself not do that. But going back, I mean, I love live streaming. I don't live stream as much now just because our youngest, I mentioned off camera, our youngest has special needs. And sometimes, you know, most of the time his schedule dictates my schedule, and which is cool. Yeah. So I don't live stream as much as I do, but I love live streaming. Vlogging, I think, would still be my favorite. I do like teaching. You know, I think sometimes even after I've taught, I'm like, okay, did I explain it well enough? Did it make any sense? That type of thing. You know, but I would probably say vlogging is still my favorite.
Okay. I don't know if you find this as well, but as you mentioned, I have done some teaching type videos. I'm not a teacher by trade, but I have taught how to do certain things in Camtasia. But I find if I make a video like that, if I'm going to teach something, I need to be darn sure exactly what the steps are, that even if I've done it 100 times before, I don't want to mess up when I'm making a video doing that. So I find those types of videos a little harder to make because there's usually a lot more editing afterwards. You find that as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think for people like us that know it and want to teach it, it can be a little intimidating because it's like, I don't want to say something wrong, but at the same time, and I've only played with Camtasia a couple of times, but you know, with Final Cut, there's probably 5 ways of doing one thing. Yeah. And you have a way, I have a way, somebody else has another way. You know, I show you what I do. And is it the best? I don't know. Works for me. And, but you know, it's one of those things where I want to get it right. And then there's times when I've been in the middle of doing something and I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what I thought was working, you know, and then you kind of stop and you have to rethink it stuff, or you publish the video and right after you publish it, it comes out with an update. And people are like, you didn't mention. I'm like, I know it wasn't there when I did the video, but thank you. Yeah.
I get some questions like that sometimes too. If I've made a video on how to do something in Camtasia 2024, somebody will ask, well, can I do that? I only have version 2022. Can I do it? Yeah. Well, I'm not 100% sure, and I'll refer to ChatGPT or something to try to figure out if you could.
Yeah. And I'm a Mac guy. I mean, I you know, occasionally I have somebody say, hey, can you share free programs on PC? And it's like, no, I can't. I mean, I don't know anything about PCs. I mean, I used to have one years ago. I don't, you know, I've got an iPhone. I'm a Mac guy. I don't know enough. So I choose to stay in that lane. Yeah. But I also think that's a good thing, is that you, as much as you know who you're for and what you're doing, what you're against or what you don't want to play in, you know, and there's no sense in me doing like the 5 best Android apps, you know, for your phone. I don't know what they are. I can't even talk about them like I know. I mean, I might even pronounce them right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, make videos on the things that you're good at and what you know. I was a PC guy forever, and I only switched to a Mac. I got my first MacBook, the M1 Pro Max, a year and a half ago, and I can't believe I didn't make the switch sooner. I've always had an iPhone, and now airdropping from the phone to the computer, and it just makes it so much easier. Yeah. But I've never used Final
I just like
Cut.
Macs. Yeah. I like Macs. I like Final Cut, you know.
Yeah.
And I've edited on Premiere. I just got tired of paying the rent and thought, you know, I'll buy it once. And I actually forced myself to learn. This is when you only got it for 30 days free, Final Cut, or the trial. And I thought, well, I had a client project. So I thought, here's a way I'll make myself learn it. I'm going to download it and I'm going to do the client project in it. I'll either learn it or I'll lose the money from the client, one or the other. And thankfully, Thankfully, I muddled away through it, but I also found I think it's easier Now, again, I've edited for a long time, but I do think it's a lot easier than Premiere, personally.
Yeah. Okay, very good. I've never actually that'll lead me into another question. A lot of people will often ask me, like, what is a good. So to back up further, a lot of the people who I hear from are just wanting to get into YouTube, and video editing tends to be the thing, I think, more so than anything else, that's kind of their roadblock, the thing that they're having the most trouble with. So, instead of spending a bunch of money on a video editing software, an NLE, they may not know which one they want. So I'll get questions like, which one should I start with? Or are there free ones to start with? So I guess my question is, I know iMovie is a free one for a Mac. Yeah. Is that, like, if somebody starts with that, would Final Cut be a kind of a natural upgrade if they wanted to? Is that like iMovie on steroids?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's what's interesting about iMovies. There's actually 2 or 3 little features in there that I don't think people know about. But when you've used Final Cut and then you use iMovie, it's like, oh, they've got voice isolation, which is a huge thing in Final Cut. And they've got some other things. Now, it's very limited. And I think what I run into is people that aren't, and let me say, I 100% agree with you. I think video editing seems to be the big stopper. And again, it comes so natural to me. I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I'm good at it, but there's people better. But I think it's like you forget that, that really intimidates people. But iMovie is very simplistic to use, very simplistic. So if you've done that a while and it's like, I really want to do some more, then I think once you open Final Cut Pro, the interface is different, but it's not radically different. Like, there's some basics between Premiere and, say, Final Cut, but only a few. And then after that, it just completely changes. And I would say there's more similarities when you go from iMovie to Final Cut that you go, okay, now I got it. Now I know what this means. And then all of a sudden you realize, I can do more because it comes with more.
Right.
So I'm going to mute my mic if I remember every time I clear my throat so I don't blow out your viewers.
No problem.
But yeah, I mean, the thing about free, I haven't tried CapCut. I haven't tried DaVinci Resolve. I hear they're great. My thing is, I know Final Cut, and I'm comfortable with it. It's not going away. They just announced Final Cut Pro 11, and I'm in a Discord group with some guys, and some of them are in the private invite from Apple, and Apple isn't divesting itself of Final Cut. They're going harder into it.
Okay.
And it can be as professional as you want it to be when these people say, but it's not a professional program. When people say that, my gut is, and this is not a knock, they probably haven't done anything professionally, because you can use any program, I think, to create anything. It may be harder. You may have a learning curve, and it may not be able to do everything you want. But saying that I've got to have X, Y gear, or unless it's a requirement. I know Netflix has certain cameras you have to use. Okay. To me, that's an exception. Yeah. But beyond that, I always tell people, always look for something that's got a free trial or something like that. Make sure you can get the full thing for free, so you really know what you're test driving. And then if you may hate Final Cut, but you may love DaVinci Resolve, then use it. That's fine. I certainly wouldn't pay for anything until I knew a little bit more about what I was doing.
Right. Okay. No, that's good advice. I like to tell people too that the best video editor is the best one for you. So that, if you can find a free version that you can try out first, that'd be great. But at their core, they all do the same things, and they're kind of, from what I've seen. Now, I've never used Final Cut. I have tried DaVinci Resolve, and I have a little bit tried CapCut, but Camtasia is what I use the most. And Camtasia is probably, I like to think it's good for beginners to use, and it kind of started as a screen recorder more than a video editor. It's just that's what I've always used, and I can do all that I need to do with it. So, why change? It does have some trouble sometimes with very large files, or it used to, not so much anymore, like 4K files. But anyways, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit. But I think most of the people... Yeah, go ahead.
But no, I just want to interrupt. And, you just said something, though, I think is important. There is no perfect program, period.
Yeah.
I mean, Final Cut, as much as I love it, sometimes it does its thing,
Yeah.
and something doesn't work the way I want it to, or, an update, didn't work. So, I mean, there is no perfect program. I think it's about what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I like Canon cameras. I've tried a couple of Sonys. I'm not a fan of Sony. Sony makes great cameras. Panasonic makes great cameras. I mean, it's whatever you want to use and you get comfortable with. That fits in your budget, and then go for it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, this is great. Why don't I look to see what other questions we have from the viewers? There were a few that came in. So I made a community post a few days ago, just announcing this, and I got a couple of questions there. So let me just ask this from Pigskin Road. What do you do if you want to start a YouTube channel, but you're passionate about so many different topics? Let's say I love technology and playing video games, so two different things. Is there a set time to where I should set a niche? What are your thoughts on that?
So first of all, I don't, here's the thing, technology and video games, I don't know if that's too far of a stretch. I think if it was video games and gardening, maybe, unless you're doing a video game channel about, games that have to do with gardening. I think, so I'll start with the worst thing I think somebody can do is start multiple channels. I see this all the time.
Okay.
They'll start a channel and it's either not growing like they think. You got to set expectations. And so I'll just start another channel. And it's like, well, it's a process. And I think the same thing. It's like, well, I like, gaming and gardening and antiquing. So I'll just do 3 different channels. And if you're a solo person like me, you've just increased your workload three times.
Yeah.
Probably more than that. I'm not good at math, but I will just go with 3 times.
I think you're close.
Yeah. I would say start your channel and try the different things you're interested in and see what takes, because you may find out that you love the tech, but the gaming part comes easier and you're getting more interaction from that and engagement. And maybe, who knows, maybe, some eyeballs from some sponsors or whatever, and you're okay with that. And you can always change. So I think, is it nice to have an idea going in? Absolutely. But I always share the story of Colin Samir, one of my favorite channels. They said, and last year, went over 1 million subscribers. Mm-hmm. When they said they hit 100,000 subscribers, they were still trying to figure out what they were doing. And, I always use that as like, okay, good. I don't feel so bad, and it is YouTube. So you can do whatever. Again, you have to go into it with what your expectations are. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a guaranteed way of growing it like so many people tell you on YouTube, but I think you can do some things where you can get more views faster, maybe. Mm-hmm. But it's not always just about the views either. So I would say just start it. Do a little of both. See which comes easier. You may find out the gameplay takes you longer to do, but it's more satisfying.
Right.
And, YouTube doesn't feel like a job to me at all. Never has. Never has. So
I think that's super important, and that's fantastic that you've gotten to that place. Because I do get some comments from other people that are saying they seem to be down, their channel's not growing as fast as they want it to. What can I do to make it grow faster? I want to make some money from it. It's like the primary thing is not that they enjoy making videos.
Yeah.
Right. The primary thing is they need to turn that into a moneymaker. And I feel like maybe their goals are a little bit misguided. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube about, how quickly you can make money, and this is so easy money, and, and all this other stuff. And it's like, probably, my God, first of all, I have never, ever, and nor will ever recommend somebody quit their job without a plan.
Right.
My position was eliminated. I knew it was probably coming. I remember calling my wife that day, and and I was like, well, they cut the position. I actually had lunch plans with a buddy, so I went on and had lunch with him. And she started kind of crying, and I said, well, honey, we knew it was coming. She said, yeah, I just didn't think it was going to be today. Right. I was like, well, I didn't either when I came in, but it did. It happened. But I think too often people go, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. And so I just quit my job and I get in because they've believed that, oh, you know, you just throw up a few videos and the money comes pouring in. And the reality of it is there's always exceptions. I mean, I don't think what we do is the easiest and fastest way to make money. I just don't. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing a 9 to 5 or a 5 to 9 or a part-time or whatever. So, yeah, I think there's there's too many people that just want it fast. Now, when you start growing, it's very addictive, isn't it? I mean, it's very addictive.
It is. Yeah. And
I love and hate the YouTube studio for that.
That's right. So that brings up another question that I did not have written down. But how often do you look at your phone and look at your YouTube studio?
So I deleted it completely off my phone. Yeah.
Good for you. Wow, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, over a year or so ago, at least, I deleted all social media off my phone.
Okay.
I do have YouTube on there, but I don't consider YouTube social media. I don't have any social media on there at all. And I even limit myself, especially on the weekends and things. But I took YouTube Studio off, and I'll tell you why. Because I found out if it was on there, I'd look. And I thought, just take that temptation away. I didn't need an app to keep me from doing that. There will still be those times when so pretty much most of what I do is on my desktop. I'm a desktop guy. I like that, you know? And most of the time I'm in the studio, the YouTube studio on my desktop. And I'm going to admit there's times when I'm in there too much. There was some even when we had our kids, we have 3 kids. When they were young, we just set perimeters, you know, or guidelines or whatever. You know, we didn't have phones during dinner. You know, we didn't do certain things. And so on Sundays, I don't do anything. I do very limited email anymore over the weekend. Sundays, I don't do social media. I don't do email. I don't do anything. Usually end of the year, I go dark on everything for a while and just kind of, I find out it's all there when I get back. You know, it didn't go away. Twitter still, it may have changed to X, but it's still there. So I just take it off my phone so I don't feel like I'm just having to look at my phone. In fact, Rob, I'll tell you, so my office is in the upstairs of our house. I leave my phone in my office at night when I go to bed.
Okay.
So I don't even see my phone till in the morning when I walk in my office. That's it. First time. So. Wow.
That's scary to me, but also impressive that you can do that. I don't think I'm there yet.
Well, and I started honestly with baby steps. This is back still when I was a creative director at the Fox station.
Okay.
I had all my notifications turned on. So I'd pull up to a red light and I'd immediately grab my phone. Oh, there's the red bubbles on. Let me check that. And let me check this. And let me check this. And I thought later, why? That message that's there is going to still be there when I get home. Yeah. So the only notifications I leave on my phone now is I do leave Messenger on because I have people that I know messaging me that way, family or whatever. I leave text on and I leave calendar invites. That's it. Right. I don't turn any other notification on at all. In fact, I even use the do not disturb feature. So like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, it's only family and friends that are going to get through to me. And I just do that so that it's not ruling my life, because tech is so easy to do, that way. And I lived that way for a while. And it's like, nope, I'm done. Not with that.
Well, that's great. I admire you for that. That will take some work for me to get there, but I think it's a good idea for sure. All right, let me get to, I got a couple more questions here, and I try to keep these, I didn't even tell you at first, but I try to keep these within an hour. So I'm just looking at the clock. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I know there's a bunch of questions on the chat. So let me just get to one more here from the community. This is from Julie T. What's the most common mistake that 40 and up creators make when launching their YouTube channel, or your own mistakes?
So
I guess that's almost
Julie, we don't have enough time
to
talk about my mistakes. We'd be here for like days. I think not posting. Okay. I can't tell you how many people finally get the nerve up to do the video and post it, and then they won't hit publish. And Rob knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can private it, you can unlist it, you can publish it. And unless, I don't even care if you upload it and make it unlisted and share it with 10 of your best friends, doesn't matter. Until you make it public and put it out there, that's the biggest mistake you can make. And it's just easy to get in our own heads about stuff. Rob and I were talking about this beforehand about the imposter syndrome. Heck, I have it too. So I think the biggest mistake is underestimating yourself, overthinking it, and just thinking you can't do it, and just trying. Most people that I know that have done it and really enjoy it, their number one regret is they didn't start sooner.
Yep.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's mine. And I think a lot of people are worried about posting their first video because maybe it's the first one they've done of themselves talking on camera, and it's the first time they've seen themselves, heard themselves, and they don't like what they see, they don't like what they hear. But anyway, I like to tell people upload it anyways. My first video I ever uploaded is still on my channel, and I tell people go take a look at that one and compare that to what I'm doing now. Yeah. I don't think I'm perfect at all yet, nor will I probably ever be, but I'm certainly better than I was. But it's all part of it, I think, like you're saying.
Well, and striving for perfection, I think, is a losing battle. I mean, you said it. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. And we all start somewhere. It's easy to look at, like, Sean Cannell, a friend of mine, right? It's easy to look at him now and go, wow, he's amazing. Yeah, look at his first video. I mean, he didn't know that. So it's just like, just putting it out there. And, you said something, I used to think this way too, is like, your first video won't be very good. What if it is? Again, don't let somebody tell you that, you're going to suck right off the bat. Oh, okay, well, thank you. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're okay. Maybe you're as good as you want to be, So I think it's just getting past all those voices and the what ifs and stuff like that. And the people who aren't going to support you, you're not creating for them anyway. You're just not. They're going to be there. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. They're the armchair critics who haven't posted a video. Don't worry about it, So go for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, your audience are the people who actually do like your videos, and YouTube has a natural way of filtering them out anyways. The people who don't like your video, they're not going to come back. So like you say, you're not creating for them anyways. No, I like that. That's great. Here now I can post some questions from this live chat. So here's the first one. What triggered your growth acceleration? Was it a new direction in your content? And if so, what inspired you to make that change? I think you already talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did. We talked on a little bit about that. I mean, I just felt like I needed to do something different. I wasn't burnt out, but I just felt like, I was kind of like churning the wheels with here's another tutorial and stuff like that. And like I said, Heather Torres was a major influence in that. A couple other folks I talked to, actually a friend of mine who mentored me some said, you have a lot of subscribers. This is before the growth spurt. He said, but you don't have an audience. And what he meant is, I think 98% of, and you can see this more as you go in your studio, 98% of my views came from non-subscribers. And when he said that, I thought, you're right. Wow, I got a lot of views. People are subscribing and then they're never watching anything else again, which can be the downside to a how-to channel. It's not saying one, but if it's all about how-to, people come and they get that answer and they never come back, maybe, and so there's that trap. So, I mean, when I decided that, I'm older, I'm 63, and I really want to talk more about that. I started looking to see who the available audience was. Am I even talking to anybody out there at all? And then when I saw the number of people, 40, 50, 60, and 70 that are just on YouTube, I thought, if I get like a percentage of a point of that, I'm fine.
Yeah. And
then I just started looking to see what else was out there. You were out there and other guys. And I'm like, I like this. I mean, this is nothing against young people at all. But I'm not going to hire a 21-year-old life coach.
Right.
I'm just not. It's like, you've only done so much living if you can still barely shave. I'm sorry. That was mean. But you know what I mean. So.
That was mean. I've been shaving like you don't either, and neither do I. But
yeah. This was all funny. Brown before I had 3 kids. So anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very good. Another question from Sophia. from Portugal. How do you come up with your topic ideas for your videos?
So Sophia, first of all, hello from the US. That's a great question. So this is something I have changed in my thinking. So I'm glad she asked this question. I used to go way too deep in research. Now I am for research, but I would spend too much time in the keywords and the right keywords. Keywords still matter. And the right keywords and analyzing, is this the right, is it in the right way? Is it at the beginning of the sentence? Is it at the end? And targeting search, which again is great. But once I decided to lean into the over 40, I started thinking about what are things I'm seeing people asking? What do they want to know about? What do I see people not talking about? And that's just what I started doing videos on. I do keep a running list. I use Apple Notes for everything, and I have a folder called Ideas. And if I stopped, you're probably like this. I don't know about you, Rob, but if I stopped capturing ideas now, I've got too many to ever probably produce in my lifetime. But I'll go through the comments, and somebody will say something. I'm like, "Ooh, that's a great idea," and I'll write it down. I rarely look anymore to see if people are looking for that idea. Does every idea click? No. But sometimes they take time. And a lot of times it's things I want to talk about. And I think being more in this community has opened my mind to more potential ideas as well. I mean, there's a whole world of being a solo creator at 60, of being let go of a position I haven't even gotten into. I mean, we even talked about that stuff that is relatable, So to me, the ideas, I just haven't had an issue with ideas. I think my thing is sometimes is which one do I want to do next? And then how can I do it? And how complicated is it? Or is this one that just doesn't work now?
Right. Okay, and yeah, you're right. I do have something similar. I have an Excel, or actually Google Sheets spreadsheet, and I've got a list going there, but sometimes I'll get a piece of paper, and if something pops in my head, and I'm just writing it on. So I have a couple pieces of paper around my office with ideas on them, as well as that. And you're right, I will never come to the end of that list. But I feel like if I don't write it down, I might forget about it.
Oh yeah. And I've consulted with businesses and nonprofits and stuff like that. And a lot of times I'll say, you've probably got an FAQ on your site. Start there. What are the questions you get asked all the time, especially if you're service based? What are the questions people ask you all the time that you could just answer? Not have to Google or go to Gemini and say, well, how do you because this is how you do that. If there's an interest there, there's probably an idea there. Now, you can validate through some of it through some of the tools like vidIQ or search or Google and things like that. And I've done that. But I would say most recently, almost every one of my videos that started over 40, I haven't researched any of them, none of them. Now, granted, I didn't start with zero. It took a while, but there's just something to think about. Yeah. That was a great question.
I like that. That's good. And I feel I'm kind of the same. I listen to my audience's comments a lot. So whatever they're saying in their questions they're asking, if they're asking, if more than one person's asking the same question, then maybe I should make a video about it.
Dude, let me shout you out for that because, I watch your stuff and I think you are just so in tune with your audience. I mean, I see you in the comments, even the way you respond and the way you do your videos. I mean, you're just you really have that dialed in. So congrats.
Well, I appreciate that. I actually enjoy going through the comments, and I try to answer them all. But and they're not always positive. And I've made some videos about that. Do you deal with how do you deal with negative comments when you get them? I'm assuming you do get some sometimes.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, and this is what people I think need to get is that, I mean, first of all, there's mean people out there. There's trolls out there. I mean, there's people that, they're never going to publish a video doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that that's what they do. They just like to grind people, you know. And I just got to a point where, I mean, I've made the comment, you know, God defined me. Nobody else is going to define me. Does it sting? Yeah, sometimes. But the way I kind of deal with it, I do believe as your channel grows, as a channel grows and you get more and more and more, you're exposed to more audience. So therefore, you're still probably always going to have more people that are not subscribing than subscribing. So therefore, you know, it just becomes this, you know, like I was watching a video the other day and it was a really good informative video. I forgot what it was about. And I go to the comment and one of the comments is like, dude, I can't listen to you. Your voice is so annoying. You need to do blah, blah. And I thought, that's it. Why would you even leave that comment on that guy? Why? But anyway, I do different things. There's certain lines I will not let a comment cross, period. If they attack somebody else in the comments, I delete the comment. If it becomes hate-filled, you know, extreme profanity or something like that, or they can call me a doofus if they want, but if it starts getting to personal attack, I just block them. I hide them from the channel. And I don't have a problem doing that because it's like, you know, inviting somebody, you know, anybody can drop by my house and then you let people come in and they just start lambasting you and leave. It'd be like, no, okay, you're not invited anymore. You know, you've kind of abused that. Yeah. That's what I do. If people don't really like it, that's fine. There's been a couple I've deleted because I realized they were phishing and trying to pitch their services, which I don't allow. And you could just tell they were showing up in too many comments and they were trying to get people to respond back. And I thought, yeah, start your own channel, do your own videos if you want to fish for people, you know, to help. I think you've always got to be careful with that. And then sometimes I have a conversation with them. If they go, this video, you know, was just a lie, you didn't say anything you were going to, well, tell me why. What'd you think? You know, and most of those people never reply back because they've already gone. I did leave a snarky response the other day. Guy said, I'm never watching your videos again. I can't stand it when people use their hands all the time and they're talking, you know, and I'm out of here. So I said bye, and I did a lot of waving emojis. I probably shouldn't have, but I was kind of in that mood that day. But that's, I mean, you just deal with it. I would say, I don't know about you, but I would say the majority of comments I get are positive or neutral. So,
yep. Yeah, and some people trying to genuinely be helpful, which I appreciate. But from looking at it from the other point of view, from a new content creator's point of view, somebody who's trying to get started, I find there's a lot of people out there who, for lack of a better term, can't handle or just don't want to deal with negative comments. Maybe I don't know. They just, if they see one, they're going to be down for days, and they just, you know what I mean? So people like that are wondering, like, how do I stop them from coming in altogether? What would you say?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can. I mean, if you're going to, if you're going to be on YouTube and you're going to turn comments on, it comes with the territory. If you start getting a lot, you could always turn comments off. You could turn comments off on a specific video. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying that's an option. You could stop looking at comments. You just could. You could say, hey, look, I enjoy creating and I hope you like it. I just don't read my comments, and just move on. I think there's also, you don't know what other people are going through. I mean, there's been a couple of I've engaged with and they end up like apologizing, and I've heard of other stories like that. It is what it is. I mean, we're putting ourselves out there publicly. There's a lot of information I don't share because I don't want it out there, but it just happens. And even the critiques I read and listen to, and it's like, that's a good point. Can't do anything about it, but that's a good point.
Very good. Here's another question from 60 and Sane. Hi, Kevin and Rob.
I love that. I love it.
That's cool. How do you do an introduction video for for your first video if you are not sure about a niche but want to start and work to a niche?
I'd make that your video. Hey there, my name's Kevin Kolbe. I'm so excited about starting my YouTube channel. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I like this and this and this, but I just wanted to put a video up there and welcome it. In fact, I'm going to leave this video up there because who knows from years from now, you just kind of get into it and do it and don't worry about it. I do think, this is my take. I'd love to get your take, Rob. I think intro videos are a little overrated now. I would just put your video up there because there's a difference in where it positions on your channel. Meaning, every time you upload a video, it becomes your latest video, in your last video, in your last video, in your last video. So if you do an intro video and you don't make it your channel trailer, and you do by the end of the year 50 videos, well, that intro has gone further and further and further and further and further down the list.
Right.
So, I just would not overthink an intro video. I just hit record and go for it. Say what you want to say. It may be phenomenal. It may not be viewed by that many people. It may be. Doesn't really matter. I think if you're intimidated about getting on YouTube, the best thing to do, hit record, say what you want to say, publish it, and move on.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Good idea. Good advice. I've got another question here from Helen Can't Imagine. And her question is, excuse me, love doing YouTube. I'd love to go live, but I'm avoiding doing it. I need some encouragement to go live. Appreciate you guys. Subscribe to both of you. So what encouraging advice do you have for Helen?
All right, Helen, look at me. Lean in. Helen, just go live. Seriously. The nice thing about live is that you kind of put yourself out there, and it is really a good way. I've recommended this to people before that are so intimidated about video, and like Rob and I were talking about earlier, video editing. Go live. Because here's the thing. It's out there. Now, you can always edit a live stream. You can take it down. Please don't. But you could also take a live stream and then edit it into other videos. I mean, the thing is, lives are really different anyway, because most live streams views come after the fact. They don't come live. They come after the fact. So if you kind of approach it like, I'm just doing a video. It just happens to be live. If I forget what I was going to say, that's fine. And if you say the wrong thing, that's fine. And if you're having a coughing fit like I am, you mute your mic or just move on. Live is just another way of doing it. But I think until you do it, and there's a lot of programs out there you can do it, or you can just go straight on to YouTube and have fun with it. Just absolutely have fun. I did write a book on it, but I'm not going to plug the book. But there you go.
You can plug the book. I think I mentioned it at the beginning.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. No. So I wrote a book called Live Streaming Made Easy. And it was just for that reason, just to help people go live stream, just to kind of knock down the facade and stuff like that. And I get it. We think, I'm live. What if I make a mistake? I shared this video. I shared this story once. I did a video years ago, something about Final Cut related. Dude, I shot it, edited it. I edit my own stuff, uploaded it, published it, and months later, realized I had a hairball hanging off my beard the whole time. And every time I would talk, it would flap. And I'm like, and it was like a year later before anybody ever said anything about it. This is a produced video where, I could actually have cut out the mistake. And somebody said, yeah, I got a beard. I hate that when that happens. I mean, so I'm like, okay, then, I've had mistakes happen live. I used to do a video podcast with a buddy. And we were testing a live stream. We did the first season on YouTube and then went YouTube and Facebook, which I don't recommend anymore, but that's what we did. And so we were testing the stream, and I accidentally hit us live. I didn't think we were going to be live. And so we're just yakking. We've got our phones out taking selfies, and all of a sudden a comment pops up and goes, "Hey guys." And I'm like, "Hey Bill, we've been live." And for the longest time, it became our highest viewed show. I've pitched a guest before. I did this once on Ecamm when I was doing a show, and I was talking to Katie Fox, their marketing director, and I said, all right, I'm so excited to bring Katie in. And I did not look at the preview to realize that she had stepped away.
Oh, okay.
So I go to Katie's chair, and we got the biggest kick out of that. She even turned it into a meme. So, I I would just go live. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Sorry, my questions are too long-winded. I apologize.
No, that's totally fine. I like it when you share stories like that. I think that's fantastic advice. I think I'm finding that people are really forgiving. Like, if your video's not perfect or your live's not perfect or whatever, I almost feel like people like seeing that more. It's almost like, this is live. There could be a blooper here somewhere. I'm going to keep watching.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if we kind of just relate it to real life, you know, you're having coffee with some friend and, you know, they're running a little behind and they get there and they're like, you're not going to believe this. I went to the wrong coffee shop. Okay, then you talk about it. It's a real life thing. So live does have that, you know, where it's real life. Now, if you're presenting something that's like confidential or something like that, well, that's a bad example. Probably shouldn't be live anyway. So, I mean, it's just, you know, I agree with you. I think people watching live streams are far more forgiving because it's live. In fact, maybe they're watching for something to go wrong. You know,
hey, it could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. Well, I was telling you earlier today that when I went live last week to do my first ever Bring a Guest on live, and it was Alexa Serenoya, and we were chatting for, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute before we realized, oh, everybody can hear us. Like I didn't know. Anyway, I still haven't fixed that, but
yeah, it happened.
Another question here from Barb, and yeah, we're actually past time. You let me know if you have to go, but I still have a few more questions. Good. Okay,
no, let's go, man.
Let's go. So Barb McGavern has a question. Kevin, did you establish an LLC before having YouTube as a business or a side hustle? Do you ever have concerns about legal issues with things you say or sell, etc.? Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you asked this, and I was going to bring my lawyer on to answer this. No, I did start an LLC, but here's the kicker. I actually started an LLC when I was still a creative director. It was one of those things I was just intrigued by. So I started my own business, my own LLC. Now, from what I understand, I haven't really dug into this a lot. Different provinces, different countries, different states, they're all different. But I did form an LLC. Like a dork, I've changed the name of it 3 times just because it's the way I roll. But I did have one way before I started my business. I am a strong believer in, even though this is not legal advice, and if you are going to do anything like Rob and I do, and it's as a business, to create an LLC or sole proprietor, I would talk with, you know, whoever is like, you know, where I am, you talk to the Secretary of State, not directly, but, you know, that's where you find out the information. You could talk to not an attorney, an accountant, and get financial advice from that. Because as a business, anything I do business related, like when I buy this mic, it's part of that. It's also deductible. Everything I do falls within that. So, and there's also protection as well. I have business insurance that covers all of my gear. If it was stolen, if my camera fell off a tripod and hit somebody's foot, I'm covered. So it also separates your assets from your home and things like that. So yeah, I think a buddy of mine started his channel a couple of years ago. One of the guys that hit 10,000 subs in December. And I kept telling him, I said, man, you ought to really consider an LLC because you could actually write off a lot of the things you're buying as that. And he did. And now that's actually helped him even in other business things, especially if you're starting to do business documents and things like that. And there's a lot of other things you could do, like get a virtual address and some things like that. So I'm not overly worried about being sued because I don't do that type of content. You know, I'm not doing political commentary or other types of commentary, you know, against Mr. Beast or somebody where he's going to get upset and then sue me, you know. I mean, if Final Cut Pro transition doesn't work, people are just going, I hate Final Cut Pro, I'll use CapCut. That's about the worst that's going to happen.
And that's good advice. And just for those listeners who don't know, you're in the United States. I'm in Canada. So, I mean, the laws are probably very similar. In Canada, we call LLCs just an incorporated company. But the same thing applies. I have an incorporated company, and same as you, I started it many years ago before I even got into YouTube. It was when I was freelancing and doing video editing. So, and I would go to an accountant as well, or lawyer. And But yeah, if anybody ever asks me for legal advice, I say, I am not a lawyer. Wherever you live, that's where you should probably go and check on your own rules.
Very smart.
So question here from Seeking Humor says, I did a YouTube channel years ago and life got in the way. I now have a new channel. Should I upload those old videos to my new channel even if the topics are different? I'm not sure what he means by that, if the topics are different. I mean,
it sounds like he's started another channel, which is completely different. Maybe it's the other one's Seeking Humor, and this one is like, Finding Depression. I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. First of all, if you're going to just take the videos off the other channel and upload them to this channel, then just use the old channel. I mean, there's no reason in starting that to re-upload. Nothing magical is going to happen. And if you're just going to do that, then to publish videos on something completely different, just use the old channel. Now, if you feel like it's been so long, you want a fresh start, completely different, then I might start a new channel then. But I think, again, something's going to take unless you have a team, something's going to really take your attention. So that'd be my response.
Okay, very good.
My advice.
I've got one more question here. This one is from the Rural World, and he or she says, what are your thoughts on using other social media platforms to bring attention to your YouTube channel? Thank you, guys. Yes. Okay, so that was the question. What are your thoughts on using other social media to bring people to your YouTube channel?
I think, honestly, in the majority of time, it's a waste of time. And I'll tell you why. I used to do that. Because so look, advice changes kind of, but you'll hear that you got to be everywhere. You got to be everywhere. I'm not a Gary Vee fan. He said a couple of things that I think are good. But one of the pieces of advice he gives that I really have an issue with is he'll preach, you got to be everywhere. You got to be where people are and stuff like that. That's what I do. But what Gary Vee doesn't share is at one point he had a team of 21 people just for his personal brand. Gary Vee can be everywhere he wants to be because he has a team he pays for to do that. Mm-hmm. I think if you want to do YouTube, do YouTube. YouTube will do YouTube. So I think and I've tried this. I see people, well, should I start an Instagram channel or should I do Instagram to get people to watch my YouTube videos? Why would you do that? That would be like going to Target to try and get people to shop at Walmart. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So I think it's the belief that I can maybe do these tricks and hacks to grow faster. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, when I've started, I used to share my videos on Facebook, and I stopped doing that a long time ago because the reality of it is, even if people watch because they're your friends, mm-hmm. that doesn't really help you mm-hmm. because there's no history there, and they may not even be watching the whole video, so it could actually work against you. I would just say if you're interested in doing YouTube, do YouTube. I do not share my videos. I can't even think of, Rob, the last time I've shared one of my videos anywhere on social media, period. Mm-hmm. Period.
Interesting.
If you want to do YouTube, do YouTube and really learn YouTube. Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, Pinterest, Facebook, Threads, they're all different. They're all different. And most of them aren't looking for you to start an account on Facebook so then you can upload your YouTube channels to move people from Facebook to YouTube. Mm-hmm. They don't want that, YouTube doesn't care. YouTube's going to let you share them wherever you want to.
Sure.
But you don't need to. You're talking about the second biggest search engine and the best video platform on the planet. Mm-hmm. I don't think you need other help. I just don't. I feel more strongly about that than I used to.
Yeah, I like that. I like that advice. I feel like if, and you can correct me if you're wrong, but my feelings about this have changed. But right now, I watched a video. I forget who made it, but talked about the fact that if you do share or try to push people into your YouTube from other places, that might actually work against the whole YouTube algorithm, because YouTube just by itself is trying to figure out who your audience is. And if this whole bunch of people come in that YouTube themselves didn't send there, then it's almost like they don't know who they are, and it might actually go against your stats. Is that your feeling as well?
It can be because I mean, if you say, hey, look, you're on Facebook and hey guys, here's my new video. I really hope people go over there and subscribe and like and watch it. And 100 people do that, but they're kind of like dead viewers because they're not really watching your stuff. They're not watching anything else. It doesn't really help you. What helps is YouTube is about YouTube. It's a business. It wants people watching so that they can serve up more videos, and sometimes can be yours. But if people are just doing that to do you a favor, they're not really, and they're not probably going to keep coming back anyway because they're not typically your audience. So yeah, I let YouTube do YouTube. I know it's hard. I know people think I got to be other places. Now, I'll be honest. I don't even use social media like I used to. I stay on Twitter, X, but I don't really worry about, I'm not trying to build an audience there. I probably use the DMs there more than anything, especially with businesses. Facebook is all personal to me. And LinkedIn, I still have my account. I don't know why. I just LinkedIn them. LinkedIn and Instagram is just a mess, and I also don't think, I think YouTube is the best place to grow, period. Personally, professionally, there's more opportunities here, and you're just not going to get that, especially from a creator economy standpoint, with the other platforms. But that's even more about making money rather than growth. So
Right. Well, listen, Kevin, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining us today. I think we'll kind of draw a line right there. We've gone about 15 minutes over. I hope you don't mind. I hope you people out there don't mind either. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Any closing comments for the over 40 crowd who is looking to get into YouTube? Any advice?
I would just say, first of all, make sure you subscribe to Rob and watch his stuff. Don't just subscribe and go away. Watch his stuff. I would just say, just try it. I mean, just try it. You've got something to offer. You do, and maybe more than one thing to offer, and put it out there. And I think you'll just be surprised on where it takes you. So just keep creating. Thanks for having me on, dude. This is
great.
What a blast.
Oh, this was fun. Yeah, let's do it again sometime.
I'm up. Yep, I'm good.
So for those who are interested, next week I have a guest already lined up. I'm not sure if you know this, Kevin, but it's Jason Velade. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's from Camtasia. So he'll be on. It's been a while since I've done a Camtasia video, but he'll be on live and here to take your questions on Camtasia. So that's next week. Again, Kevin, thank you very much. This is a lot of fun. And look for this in a podcast form by the end of the evening. That's what I'm doing with these now, turning them into podcasts. So, all right, Kevin.
Thanks, man.
And thanks everybody for joining in. I'll see you next time. Actually, tomorrow for my regular live stream, Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. All right, guys. Cheers.